Hi guys, Hoovian Central here and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing my top 5 favourite Jon Pertwee stories. So in 5th place I have The Three Doctors, probably one of his most memorable stories, as obviously it brings back the second Doctor of Patrick Troughton and the first Doctor William Hartnell for a couple of scenes. I think it's an amazing story. Omega was an amazing villain in this, and it's just quite an interesting concept that they never really explored. Ever again, which makes it one of the better stories. It also is the turning point where Jon Pertwee's Doctor now has free reign of his TARDIS again, which means that him and Jo can actually go around exploring the universe more freely in Series 10 and also with Sarah Jane in Series 11. But all around, I think it's definitely one of his best stories, which hence why it's on here. However, I think that the one issue with it is obviously due to William Hartnell's poor health, he couldn't appear in it more, which is an issue. And also, I kind of wished that they'd, bit like when they did with the Two Doctors, is they brought Jamie back, which would have been pretty fun to do, but unfortunately they didn't do that. But yeah, anyway, Three Doctors at number 5. At number 4, we have The Curse of Peladon, which is a controversial pick. However, I just found it as it's quite a fun, interesting story. And I know a lot of people go, oh, it's quite political. It's annoying because it's really political and it's not a good use of the Ice Warriors. But I honestly think the Ice Warriors are pretty good in this one. And I think they ruin it a little bit in the Monster of Peladon, because I think the whole thing about this one is the fact that Jon Pertwee's Doctor is so adamant that they were the villain, because he knows them of old. He knows the Ice Warriors of old, from the Seas of Death and the Ice Warriors story from the second Doctor. But it turns out they're not the villains, and it's the High Priest Hepesh, which I thought was quite an interesting plot twist. Well, it wasn't really a plot twist, but an interesting, you thought you knew that the villains were the Ice Warriors, but they're not. And I think, although this did it well, I think it might have got a bit of backlash at the time, because then they changed it that in the Monster of Peladon, the Ice Warriors were the villains, which meant it was a little bit of a meh. I also think, contrary to most people, I find the of Centauri a pretty funny character. I find some people find her funny to the point that she's just getting a bit annoying, but I think she's actually a genuinely funny character. But other people disagree with that. I think the only reason this story is not a tad higher is because I just love the other stories that are higher, and also because Jo and the King Peladon's relationship is a bit annoying and it feels a bit forced. So I feel like they didn't really need to bring that in, but all round I think it's a very good episode. Yeah. Then in 3rd place is one story I've already done a review on, so I won't make it that long, which is Day of the Daleks. I said it's one of my favourite Jon Pertwee stories, just for the whole atmosphere and all that. And I also love how the novelisation has gone into a lot more detail, and it makes when you watch this feel a lot better. And I think the only thing that some people complain about is possibly how the Daleks maybe feel a bit forced, but I don't think they're forced at all. I think they work well in the story, and I think it makes sense for them to be there. In considering considering other stories, it makes sense for them to invade Earth, as Earth's becomes a big empire in the future or whatever. and they can take advantage of all the workers and stuff and all of the resources which they try and do in Daleks Invasion of Earth. So, yeah, I think it's an amazing story. I think they have it has a really good performance, and the whole aesthetic makes sense. And considering making a Dalek story where the Doctor can't physically fly, or he can't use the TARDIS without the Time Lord's help, so he managed to work the Daleks in there really well, considering in the two other Dalek stories the Doctor has full reign of the TARDIS again. So I thought this was quite an inventive way of getting around it. So yeah, it's in third place. Now in second and first place are two probably quite obvious ones. If you've watched my top 10 best classic Who episodes, you'll know that in I can't exactly remember which place it is, but it's in one of the top 10 places is Spearhead from Space. So I'm not really going to say much except from it's an amazing story in its own right. It's definitely the best Auton story, and I think it works well as a good introduction to colour. However, the whole doll factories do look a bit scary. Well, not scary, but a bit, creepy. But yeah, all around, it's a very good story, and you can see a lot of elements of this story in later ones like Rose and stuff. So yeah. Then another one which I believe is in my top 3 and the top 10. It is the Ambassadors of Death, which is, although a lot of people knock the story down for being a bit of a mess, I still think it's probably one of Pertwee's best performances as the Doctor. And the only knock that I can give it is this at the end of the 7th part where he just kind of walks away. However, understandably, I don't think he really needed to do very much more. There was not anything else. There wasn't another threat that was going to happen. So he didn't. And his part in the story was done. But yeah, I think the story works as a kind of a nice little thriller, and also the fact that the Doctor seems to know what's going on most of the time without really expressing that he knows what's going on, which is really cool. And also just the fact that he manages to outsmart these guys who've not only captured Liz twice, but he captured him as well, and he just managed to outsmart them, which is really fun which makes a really fun story. But yeah, all around, I think it's definitely his best story. Maybe it's not a bit controversial. Maybe some people would say, well, Inferno should be up here and Seen Devils and stuff like that. I think they both have their redeeming qualities in their own right. But I think, in my opinion, my list, for me, is the best. But yeah, just so you know, it's not your list, this is my list. It could be completely wrong. You might have, I don't know, the Daemons up here or the Sea Devils. Your list could consist of Colony in Space or the Planet of Spiders. I don't know. I haven't put any master stories on here, mainly because although Roger Delgado is a great actor as the Master, and I think he's probably the Master, I just found that most of his stories either had an issue or they just slightly missed out. So I think the Daemons would probably have been in 6th place, and stories like the Claude's Vaxos may have been in 9th or 8th place. But yeah, this is just my opinion. You can put in the comments below your top 5 stories. So yeah, if you want to watch another video, should be some in the top there, and then try and remember to like and subscribe. So yeah, see you.